Hey friends, welcome back to Heretical Hippies, where Anna and Carrie Jo wander back into the wreckage of their deconstruction to see if they can offer hope to anyone else who might be climbing out of the dust and ashes of their faith. Buckle up, it's about to get real.
Hey, beautiful people. I'm trying to hold back a laughter because I don't know. Anna and I made eye contact somehow. That was funny to me.
We just literally just started laughing out of thin air, like no good reason.
Yeah. So anyway, all that to say, we're here to talk about holidays then versus now. And we wanted to time this in the calendar year, where hopefully you can, glean some things from this. Maybe it will inform how you celebrate your holidays this season or even in the coming calendar years. So, anyway, Anna, good to share a laugh with you and our listeners. We're going to talk about what we used to do. So we're going to start with the then. I'd love to hear, Anna, what did you used to do for holidays?
Well, first of all, we didn't do Halloween for many years, right? Which is very typical for a lot of Christian families, at least in the time when we were raising ours. And we would do a lot of holiday festivals at churches, like the Fall Fest.
Oh, yes.
Or the Harvest Fest, But we did home church a lot. So we would just do like a little party, or we would go to other churches just to experience their fall festivals or their harvest festivals. So yeah, we did that kind of stuff. And then that was mainly the fall. And then we also included a lot of outreach, at least in our small little community. We would provide candy and stuff too, just so the kids could come to our houses and know we were safe spaces and things like that.
Yeah, you don't want to be the one giving out like toothbrushes and walnuts or something.
Right. But yeah, as far as really Halloween went, as far as then goes, like what we used to do. And then Thanksgiving was, it's pretty typical to what we do now. There's not really anything, not a whole lot that's changed other than prayer around Thanksgiving and Christmas. There was a lot more prayer involved in those holidays. And Thanksgiving, we've always made it an act of, obviously talking about what we're grateful for around the dinner table and things like that. Those are all the same, but just the prayer in general is different and non-existent compared to how much we used to pray.
Yeah, I hear
what about
that.
You?
Okay, so Halloween, it's interesting for us because my youngest, his birthday is on Halloween. And so, when he was born, the day he was born, we have a picture of Stephen with our older two in their cute little costumes right before going out to their neighborhood. And of course, my youngest and I were in the hospital. So, so we used to do that. But again, it was the trunk or treat, which side note, can we talk about this? Like we're constantly told not to go to a vehicle of a stranger who might offer you a candy or to pet a puppy. And that is fucking literally what's happening at a trunk or treat.
Right.
The cognitive dissonance. If this was a drinking game, every time we said cognitive dissonance, I'd be under the table. So anyway, yeah, it's interesting. We used to do that. And then, sometimes our church would combine that with like a harvest festival or like a gratitude something or other. I don't know. Because it's like that time of year, and I have no problems with that at all. But I used to be very specific about how I would talk to my kids when we did go out trick-or-treating. We had a really sweet neighborhood. We would just go to a handful of houses because they were young. We don't keep them up super late. And then also they don't need to be getting a pillowcase full of candy. It's just kind of silly. So I would say to them, when we would cross paths with a really creepy demon looking or, some creepy looking thing, I would talk about demons and talk about that it's not right to celebrate those things and all the things that you can imagine. And so Yeah, I honestly am so relieved, and I was even then in my Christian days, was so relieved that in Nigeria there wasn't Halloween. Like that wasn't a thing. We didn't
Mm,
celebrate it.
yeah.
And so we got to get out of that for about 7 years, which was nice. And so by the time we came back to the States, it just became, where do you want to go out to eat? You know, asking our youngest for his birthday, like, you get to pick, where are we going? And we gave him
Right.
the option. We said, you know, to our youngest, I'm trying not to name names just to like protect them a little bit, but um to our youngest, I would say like, you know, we can go trick or treating if that's what you want to do. That's an option. And then he would always choose going out to eat, you know,
Yeah.
which good boy, because like
I know, right?
everyone wants to go out to eat in this family. But yeah, so like that became an easy out even before deconstruction, and it was just a huge relief even then. And I don't
Mhm.
know why. Maybe just because I don't know. It's just like a pain in the ass to get the costume or make the costume, and ugh, I don't know. It was lame. So Thanksgiving, we pretty much do the same thing. Like it's basically based around food. Maybe we have a
Mhm.
problem as I'm saying all this out loud. But food
I
is
think that's
amazing.
pretty human, a pretty human thing to base things around
Yeah.
food.
Yeah. Thanks for validating that,
I
because
know,
like
right?
food is amazing. It is honestly, it is one of the few things that I see as a spiritual experience in certain contexts. But anyway,
Mhm.
um, yes, Thanksgiving. In more recent years, I have tried to talk to them about the colonization that
Mhm.
happened, that's literally what Thanksgiving is centered around. I just want them to be
Mhm.
aware of that and how privileged they are as white cisgender males. Like,
Mhm.
you know, like there's a whole bucket load of privilege that comes with that. And
Mhm.
so like I'm trying to kind of educate them on those things.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you were saying, okay, the fall festival. Why? This is the question I have. Why do Christians have to hijack everything? Why can't they just leave it as Thanksgiving? Leave it as the celebration of colonization as it is, and
Mm,
instead of like turning it into this whole thing that has to be Christian. Like
yeah.
it drives me nuts. Anyway, so that's basically what, you know, kind of those fall seasonal
Yeah.
things look like. But yeah, I mean, we're going to get into Christmas stuff because
Right.
obviously that's our heritage. That's what we celebrated
Mhm.
um, this time of year. But I think, okay, should I add the one thing? It's in the fall, and it's something I'm going to add into at the time of this recording. It's, you know, like early fall.
Mhm.
Should I include the thing that I'm adding in to my celebrations this year because it's fall, or should I share that later? What do you want?
We'll share it later.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm done. I'm done with the
There's
old.
one more thing I
Yeah.
wanna say about the fall celebrations, and while you were talking, I was remembering this. Um, I used to do I mean, I homeschooled my kids too, like, and so when these holidays came around, I would develop lessons around the history of and what God thinks about it, like I knew what God thought about it, right?
Well, obviously you did, Anna. You had the direct line to him. Come on.
It's so embarrassing to say out loud and or even to think about it.
That's what
Like,
this is. This is
oh
our
my
therapy.
gosh, this is our therapy. And I remember sitting with my kids and I was pretty thorough about like, you know, there's also the pagan rituals that were for a long time surrounded around Halloween. And so we talked a lot about that kind of stuff, like what was pagan and how had these times come about in the first place? How had these celebrations come about in the first place? Which was historically accurate in a lot of ways, but then there was this bit on what God thinks about that, you know,
Sure.
in all of it, and so crazy. I mean, and I won't go into what we do now, but that was definitely something that has changed.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of
yeah.
freeing, isn't it? To not feel like you
Hmm.
always have to add a commentary to something.
Right.
My
Yeah.
God, the pressure. There was so much
Hmm.
pressure to like
It
make
really
sure you're
was.
indoctrinating your kids in the appropriate Christian way.
It also, when I look back on it now, and I had a therapy session yesterday, so this is my heart is on my sleeve in regards to how I've changed over the last 20 years. But um, yeah, I realize how arrogant I was. Such a strong word. It's hard to use that word in describing yourself. But I really did think that I had some edge on other people because I knew what God thought about things. Now, granted, I say that really, and it sounds really strong, and I know that I gave myself some room to be wrong. I was always wanting to learn and grow, but there were definitely times where I knew pretty strongly, and would draw very firm lines in the sand because I was confident. And yeah, I wish that I hadn't approached my religion in that way, but here we are. So
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, it wasn't really an autonomous decision that you made on how to approach your religion, because that's what was taught within Christianity, that we have the answers. That
Yeah.
we know the true word of God, that we have, basically the inside scoop. And anyone
Yeah.
else operating outside of that is in the wrong.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, it's hard to describe yourself as arrogant in your beliefs. I was thinking, oh, totally. Like, I look back on my experience too, completely arrogant. And that arrogance would like spill over as I would talk to my kids and basically like call out other people for like, well, that's not right. This is why we do it this way.
Right.
And again, the cognitive fucking dissonance within Christianity of wanting to always be humble, like we strive for humility, but the whole belief system is like coated in this shell of arrogance. And I don't know if it's a protective measure to, like make sure that what you're believing is right, to kind of like gaslight yourself and believing that. I don't know. It's interesting to think about that. But yeah, I hear you. Arrogance mixed with a little dash of humility just to sweeten the pot a little bit.
Right. Just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I presented these narratives to my kids. And I think that I just, I've apologized since then to them and let them know, like, hey, I was arrogant and I thought I knew, and I'm sorry, I don't. And not flippantly like that, but
Right.
like, if you want to talk about it, open the floor to hearing how that maybe adversely affected them in some way or any way. So yeah, I think part of the deconstruction process is doing that, is going back and going, okay, how did my actions affect people? And is there anything I can do or say to help heal any adverse effects of it,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. I feel like I'm approaching that season in my deconstruction process of acknowledging the ways that I did harm people. And I've kind of known it as I've recognized the harm of these teachings, that I contributed to that. But I'm getting to the point where I feel like there are specific people that I want to reach out to and say, I'm so sorry. Like, I really fucked this up, and just apologize for my behavior, basically. Yeah. So, okay. Are we ready to move on to
Yes.
our new ways of celebrating? Okay. I would love to hear what you have to say. Or do you want me
The
to
new
go?
No, the new ways
Okay.
of celebrating the fall stuff, right? We haven't gotten to Christmas yet. So, yeah, for me, it's really simple. We love Halloween.
Nice.
We love to dress up. We go trick-or-treating. Even still, my 16-year-old this year, last year was the last time we went trick-or-treating with my 18-year-old, who was 17 at the time. And I dressed up as Run DMC and, or not the whole band, but just one of the guys. And then my oldest son was Eminem. And my youngest son was Dwight from The Office.
Nice.
It was the most memorable. It was one of the most memorable. We have other ones that we really had a lot of fun and dressed up and had a good time.
That's
But
awesome.
we don't, our neighborhood doesn't do a lot of that. It's an old neighborhood. It's very diverse and eclectic, and to say the least. And so we go to other neighborhoods to trick or treat, and we go to the best neighborhoods, where you get like the Snickers or multiple candy
Oh
bars.
man, jackpot. Those are amazing.
Yeah. So we have a lot of fun with it. And as far as Thanksgiving goes, like, we just honestly just enjoy time together and really try to just embrace the time to be together,
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving is a lot of typical, we get together with extended family, potluck, play games, try to enjoy the fall weather. Like, it's much simpler and less pressure. The only thing is just the prayer. I mean, prayer is not something that we're opposed to necessarily, but it's definitely something that's probably one of the biggest changes in all of our holidays and our experience, really,
Yeah.
is that we're not stopping to say anything specific to God about what we're going through or doing. And it's definitely not, doesn't look, whatever we do either on our own or as a group is we have a tradition where we do what's called all hands on deck. And we do that even when it's not holidays. And then everybody literally just like a sports team puts their hands in together and stacks them on top of each other. And we, with our eyes open, just look around at each other and tell each other how much we mean to each other. And
Oh my gosh, I love this.
yeah, and that's it. I mean, even we're sitting at the dining room table, we're like, oh wait, let's do all hands on deck, and it's something we got from a movie, and we just kind of kept doing it. We've done it for years. So that kind of replaced in a lot of ways our prayer time.
And it's probably more
sometimes-
valuable too. Like you're building each other up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, in its own way, yeah. It has a unique impact, I think, on the whole family, and just feels like we all get warm and fuzzies inside.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanksgiving or Christmas, I'm sorry, is the biggest changes have happened with that one for sure. We don't put up nativity scenes. We don't really discuss the history or story of Jesus at all, we actually don't we don't go to church anymore, so we don't have a lot of that hoopla as well, but we do go to a church service at our my brother-in-law's church, and it's always a lot of fun, and it's a lot of like it's both Christian music and just like it's a lot of just traditional Christmas without the Jesus too.
Yeah.
Not that that's something I need or anything. I'm just saying, like, there's a little bit of everything, and it's a lot of fun, and the music's really good, and there's no pressure, and it's a candlelight at the end, kind of sort of like a candlelight service in a way, and and a lot of family and friends go, so we get to see people, and it's always a good time. And there's lots of Christmas lights out, and we usually try to go drive around that same night to see Christmas lights in neighborhoods and stuff too.
Nice.
So we have a lot of fun traditions that we do as a family. Like, we do a lot of baking. We used to do a lot of talking about Jesus, praying, a lot of just specifically centering our thoughts and ideas around Jesus with the nativity scene and our discussion.
Yeah.
And that part is the biggest change for us.
Yeah, I have a question before you move on to the new stuff. Do your kids ever talk about their experience growing up? Like, do they ever say, like, oh, I missed this whatever nativity thing we used to do? Or do they ever comment on like missing anything Jesus centric about Christmas?
No. No, they don't.
That's so
we
interesting.
tried to hold on to some of the traditions that we used to do just to bring in that familiarity for them.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Go there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, but I don't think they've ever said anything about missing any of the other stuff we don't do. That's a good question though. But as far as the new stuff, like, it's really simple. It's just certain movies we like to watch, and I mean, I grew up watching, It's a Wonderful Life, and
I've never seen that movie.
oh my God, are you serious?
Serious? I mean, I know those little like kind of pop culture stuff, but yeah, I've never seen it in its entirety.
how it's mind-boggling to me. I think for my brother and I, we spent a lot of time watching TV, and we were latchkey kids, so we just spent a lot of time watching TV, and it was always on. There was Bells of St. Mary's, Miracle on 34th Street, and It's a Wonderful Life. They were on every year around the same time on the same channels. And it was a tradition to watch them. We would watch them together every year. And Bells of St. Mary's came on in the middle of the night. I would stay up so late just to watch it.
Really? I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's just an old black and
Black
white.
and white. Nice.
Mhm.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, it brings back a lot of memories for me. It's almost like, and in some ways, it's just comforting, you know?
Sure.
So I always watch those, and the kids know that. And sometimes they watch them with me these days, and sometimes they don't. But we have some like Elf, and like some
same.
movies that we always watch every year because it's just like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Like it's almost like you can't get through Christmas.
My kids have
without
never seen
watching
that.
it.
I don't know why, because I
Well,
watched that growing up. It was
yeah.
never like a family tradition, but we need to do that. We're going to do that this year.
Yeah.
It's so
you
freaking
should- you should
hilarious.
I'm always looking for new Christmas movies because we watch the same ones. Oh, okay. I can't believe I haven't mentioned it. Mixed Nuts. I don't know if you ever seen
What?
Steve Martin.
Never
Steve
heard of
Martin's-
that.
It's 100% top 5 Christmas movies.
No.
Hands down. Yeah.
Okay. We got to find that too. Ooh, we're going to
Yeah.
like expand our repertoire of Christmas movies. I'm excited.
Yeah. If you watch it, you have to tell me because Steve Martin is just amazing already, and we love him. But this movie is gold. It
Nice.
is pure gold. And Ricky and I would watch it every Christmas Eve when the kids were little, because we'd stay up late wrapping gifts, right?
Yeah.
So we'd put the kids to bed, and the kids knew when we were watching Mixed Nuts, they better not come out of that bedroom.
So funny.
Because it meant we were doing what we needed to do to
Right.
get ready for Christmas morning. So yeah,
That is really funny.
But yeah, me and my youngest, we loved baked goods, so we watch a lot of the baking shows, and then a lot of the Christmas episodes. Like I reserve a lot of like throughout the year when I'm watching my go-to shows like The Office or
Oh, hell
Parks
yeah.
and Rec. Like I don't watch. I intentionally don't watch the Christmas episodes so I could
love
save them
that.
for the end of the year.
See, I never skip them because I just I love, especially The Office. Like I bleed The Office.
Right.
Oh, we should do that. That's a really great idea to just
Yeah,
binge
it's-
all the Christmas episodes.
Yeah, I've actually intentionally not watched all the bloopers either for The Office because I want to kind of spread it out over time.
Uh huh. Oh man, see, I'm just like I
Yep.
can't get enough. I just binge all of it. Like, that's
If
so
I'm having
funny.
a really bad day, I'm like, I need a 2-hour blooper reel.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
is awesome.
right now. I'm Googling best Office bloopers for sure.
Oh, The Office can fix a lot in one's life.
It's so true. And in some ways, I married Michael Scott, by the way.
So funny.
Ricky, or my husband, he'll often remind me, I don't know why you don't laugh at me when I do that. It's like, you know what? It's kind of different in real life.
Exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh
What
my
about
gosh.
you? What about your holiday? What are they like then and now Christmas stuff?
Okay, so things that we used to do but no longer do. We had this set, well, we still have it, but it's a set of these tiny little books. Like they're meant to hang on a Christmas tree or like a mini tree. So they're each, it's 25 days. Okay, that's like from The Office. 30 days, 30-day plan, 1 point a day. Anyway, if you're like a serious Office lover, you'll get that. So anyway, 25 books that lay out the whole nativity advent story, right?
Yeah.
And okay, listen, you want to hear arrogance. I would read these and we would get to this one where it talks about Mary is riding the donkey, they're on their way to Bethlehem, and she sees an oasis. Like that's what it says. She sees an oasis to quench her thirst in the dry, whatever. And I would always correct that and be like, there's no evidence for that in the Bible. So I was like, my God, woman, like get over it. So anyway, we do not do those anymore.
Mhm.
And it's really interesting because the age that my kids were when we moved back to the States, they were 15, 12, and 10. And
Mhm.
like those are kind of the ages where well, especially 10 and 12, not so much 15, but that's like the phase or the season of our family where I would have automatically expected them to be growing out of some certain traditions, right?
Yeah.
And it was like so gracious of the universe to allow the timing of that to happen for us, because
Mm.
we were able to let go of some of those things that we did for them as, young kids, wanting to teach them things about the Christmas story that as we got into deconstruction, we just let those things go.
Mhm.
And we relocated, like it just like from the States, from Michigan to Naples, it was just kind of perfect timing. So that
Mhm.
has gone by the wayside. We we used to read also, like one every 4 weeks. It's like the Advent passages, like similar to what they would
Mhm.
do in a church. You light the candles and stuff. We would do that. And I would read it out of a children's Bible. And again, my kids were of the age where it was like the children's Bible is just kind of like dorky at that point, the way it
Mhm.
described things. So we just kind of quit doing that naturally, but kind of the preamble to the deconstruction phase of my life. And then this is the one that makes me want to vomit a little bit. And I think I told you this a while ago and you like started laughing out loud. And you can laugh, feel free. I used to bake a birthday cake for Jesus on Christmas morning. Okay, now it wasn't like an actual cake. It was like a brownie thing because my family is not really like, we're not a big cake fan, I guess. In
Mhm.
general, we'd rather eat a pie. But yes, I would make this like banana brownie thing and we would sing to Jesus and like, oh my God. Like, I guess it was kind of a creative take on it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's funny to like think back and laugh at
When the kids
ourselves.
look back at that, do they ever talk about like? Do they ever say anything to you about things that
Mm.
they experience that they think is weird or they regret or anything like that?
Not really, but I also haven't specifically asked them. So I
Mhm.
think maybe I will this year. I will ask and
Yeah.
I'll try to keep it light, like I don't want to put them on the spot or make them feel like there's a right
Sure.
answer. So yeah, at
Right.
some point I think I will ask them, maybe as a group as we're watching a movie or maybe individually just as it comes up naturally. Because I would be curious to know, like maybe there is something that they miss and not for the sake
Mhm.
of because it was like integral to their Christian experience, but just for the sake of tradition. I
Sure.
think traditions are important, and
Mhm.
thankfully, a lot of the ones we had just kind of slipped away from us really naturally, and yeah, it's kind of remarkable how that happened.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but anyway, so there are some things that we used to do that we still do. And those would be so you said you don't put nativities out. That is not true for us. First of all, Stephen and I got married December 21st. I think we got like somewhere around 14 or so nativity sets for our wedding presents.
Whoa.
Yeah, like
Uh-huh.
a bazillion. So like we have most of those, not all of them.
Uh-huh.
Um and so we still put them up because like, they mean something to us, the people who gave it to us or whatever. But there's this
Sure.
one specifically that is a Fisher Price nativity set. And
Aw.
it's really sweet. I mean, it's like something you'd give to a 2-year-old, right? Like it's
Yeah.
really sweet. But like my kids, they love setting that thing up. And
That's
so
awesome.
one will set it up on the day that we decorate. And then throughout the month or whatever, leading up to Christmas, they'll like rearrange things and like put the
Mhm.
camel where Jesus should be or, like just silly stuff. So it's like kind of
Sure.
just a fun thing that they still engage with. Um,
That's
and I
awesome.
think I like that because they're older and snarky and want to do silly things like that, like with the camel, like it kind
Yeah.
of it makes it less precious, in a good
Yeah.
way. Like it just
Mhm.
lightens the mood. Like this doesn't have to
Sure.
be this, let's talk about the sacrifice, like
Right.
letting a kid be born so we can kill him later. Like, like come
Right.
on. So
Right.
so that's something that we still do with our decorations. And I would say in general, we decorate the same, but again, it feels less heavy.
Yeah.
It's just like more it's what we do. This is what we do. We put these things up
Mhm.
and I don't
Yeah.
tell a freaking Bible story while we're doing it.
Mhm.
Um, and then like you, we also have movies that we watch every year. We watch Elf. I mean, I watch that throughout the year. That thing is so hilarious.
Yeah.
Polar Express. There's one called Klaus that Netflix put out, which we love. That one's really good. And then I'm going to have to add Mixed Nuts and National Lampoon's Christmas thing because anyway, I don't know why we haven't done that before. Those are things that we used to do and still do. Yeah, but okay, so should I go into my new stuff?
Yeah, go for it.
Completely unrelated, I guess, to the old stuff in
By
a
the
way.
way, I did remember that too. Like we do have some nativity ornaments that we still use, but we had a nativity set, like a big set.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, I don't really have space for it. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That thing has taken up enough space in my head and heart over the years.
Yeah. But yeah, let's do new stuff. I'd love to hear what you guys do.
Okay. So one thing that we do, and this is not like a planned thing, it just kind of happens just organically. We talk about our Christmases in Nigeria. We think about the Christmas food that is typically served around that time of year, and we just reminisce and have really like fond memories of that. We also, like I said, we try to find new movies to watch, which now we have some, and of course Netflix always comes out with new stuff, so we're willing to try any of those. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention, we did not do Santa growing up. I mean, not me, but my kids. Like I did it, like growing up with my parents did it, but we did not do it. And I'm not really sure how I feel about that yet. Like I would have stuck to it as a Christian. I would have said, I'm really glad we didn't, because I didn't want my kids to find out that I've been lying to them for 10 years or whatever. And actually my kids have said to me unsolicited, I'm glad you didn't do Santa. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, like maybe that's one thing we got right in our Christian phase. Like maybe that is still something that a sentiment that they would say. But anyway, like now we just will put Santa on the gift tag, like with a winky face or something. Like it just makes it cute and fun. And so that is something that we've added a little bit.
And to add to that real quick, my oldest daughter told me recently, she's like, I love it because we still, to this day, when we get together to do gifts, we will put, me, just jokingly, will put from Santa.
Yeah.
Or from Jesus.
That's so funny.
And so, but the gift that like is really from our heart, there's usually like one gift that's like we put a lot of thought into.
Yeah.
And usually I'll put from Mama and Papa on that one. That's what our kids call us. So, anyway, but she told me the other day she loves it when I put from Santa and from Jesus. She just thinks it's so hilarious. And every year she laughs, even though, we've done this for probably 6 or 7 years now. So
that's really funny. I should do that. Yeah. I should do like from Jesus for something that's like a Call of Duty game or something, right? Yeah, that would be hilarious. We're gonna have to do that. That's funny. Okay, so another thing we do, this is a new tradition since moving to Florida, actually, because it's just weird. Like we've moved so much, and I feel it's important to keep traditions alive when you move, just to give some continuity, especially when kids are younger.
Right.
Yeah. So we created a new one when we came down here. I don't know what moved me to do this, but it's been really fun. So Christmas Eve, the first Christmas Eve we were here, we went to a candlelight service at a church, and then again the following year, and then after that we tapped out. But after that, we would come home. I made hot chocolate in little travel mugs for all of us. We would all grab a mug, put them on the counter. I'm like, everybody grab a mug. We're driving around the neighborhood. So we drive around the neighborhood, which is pretty big. It's like a 600 home neighborhood. And people go all out. I mean, there are computer programmed light displays. Like you can push a button on an iPad. And I mean, it's really crazy. So,
and the lights blink with the music.
Yes. Yeah. It's really cool. So we drink our hot chocolate and drive around the neighborhood looking at lights. And that's one of my favorites. I absolutely love doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And another thing.
We do that too. We like to drive around and look at lights. Yeah. We'll get my brother and anybody else that wants to carpool and pile up in our van and drive around and look at all the lights. It's so fun.
It is really fun. Yeah. So that will be a tradition, hopefully, that we can continue. I mean, even when the kids are gone, Stephen and I can still do that. It'll just be a fun memory of how we spent that time with the kids.
Right.
And then one thing that is going to be new this year, actually, is our youngest is really into cooking. Like he watches so many YouTube videos on people cooking and making these really cool recipes, and he has cooked many things. And so he and Steven one time cooked birria tacos, and it was amazing. Like, I don't eat the meat, but like the sauce and stuff that comes from it is like equally as delicious, if not more so.
Wow.
And so anyway, look it up. If you don't know what birria tacos are, they are awesome. So they're going to do that again. They're going to make it, like prep it all, roast it Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day, we're going to eat that. That'll be our dinner. So like, who
Nice.
knows? Maybe that'll be another new tradition. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. My youngest loves to cook too. It's so funny that both of our youngest
Yeah.
like to cook.
And they're both like office aficionados, which is
It's
really
funny.
interesting. Yeah. So that is like the completion of my list, I think. Except
Yeah.
I do want to share one thing that I'm going to add into the mix this year.
Yeah.
So we're recording this early October, and I'm very excited to celebrate the Day of the Dead this year. It's November 1st and 2nd. I don't know a ton about it, but I do know this much. I'm going to do some more like digging, and so I can understand the depths of it. But what I understand is it's honoring relatives, or just maybe not relatives, but people that were in your life that you loved that have passed. They've gone on to the next realm. And it's just honoring their lives and the impact that they've had on yours and their memory, like honoring their memory. And so that is very exciting to me. Like, I have a little altar table that I found at a thrift store, and I bought like this marigold garland thing. And I've been like slowly gathering stuff that I have in my house, like things that my grandparents had or that remind me of them. And so I'm going to put them all on this little ofrenda that we make, and pictures of them and stuff. And I'm going to like light a candle. And anyway, like, I'll have to do more like uncovering of the meanings and the traditional things and the way to do it. But the beauty of it is that I can learn how to honor ancestors and past relatives in a way that would have been seen as probably demonic in some way, you know, when I was a Christian. And so it just feels like taking back something that I was maybe robbed of for a while. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me in a way of like how the Catholic Church have an altar where they light candles in honor of family members that have passed.
Yeah.
It's a similar concept to me for the Day of the Dead. Like, it's usually like for me, it's just getting out pictures, lighting candles, and setting aside some time to just hold space for remembering them, and even talking about them maybe with family members, or maybe even doing something that I know that they would appreciate or want me to do or want me to have. Like last year for Day of the Dead, my dad got me flowers a lot throughout my life, and so I bought myself flowers.
That's really cool. So you
Yes.
have like actually celebrated the Day of the Dead, or was that just happenstance that it happened to be around that time and you were like, oh, this is Day of the Dead stuff?
Yeah, I've done both of those things.
Okay.
Some years it's been during the week of the Day of the Dead, you know, I'll set aside time to honor or remember some loved ones. And then I mean, it's generally right around the Day of the Dead or on it, you know, because I'm not it's not something I hold to as like sacred in the same sense as maybe some people do.
Right.
But it's I think it's a beautiful tradition, and I wanted to integrate it into my life. So when it made sense for me right around that time, I would make it happen.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's new to me, so I'm going to try it on for size, see how I like it, see how I might want to tweak it to make it more meaningful for myself. Yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to. But I actually came up with a list of questions that people who are listening might want to ask themselves, might want to take some time to think about. This is not a homework assignment, people. Okay, so this is just like trying to get your gears turning if you're not quite sure what to do with the holidays or how to make it, you know, specifically good for your family. So Do you have anything else to add before I go into this list?
No, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's mostly for me in regards to that encouragement or advice is just not to take things so seriously
Yeah.
and just take a breather, deep breath, and really ask yourself what's important to me this year, because it can be different every year.
Absolutely.
We're talking about traditions, but I feel like in some ways a lot of the patterns evolve every year, like they should. It's just part of being human, right? But some of the traditions bring some familiarity, but I think keeping it simple with the traditions allows them to be flexible with how you evolve.
Yeah, that's great advice. Just to keep things fluid. And,
Mhm.
seasons change. Your kids grow, you grow, your beliefs change, and maybe they don't change, but your kids are definitely growing. And so you do
Mhm.
have to contextualize. You're not going to read them that children's Bible anymore when they're 20 years old,
Right. Right.
Yeah. So this is one question that I would say might be beneficial is what makes sense for your family now? So again, like the ages of your kids. Allow them to still engage with the Jesus story if that makes sense to them. It might not make any sense to you anymore, but let
Right.
them make meaning of it in whatever way makes sense to them right now.
That's good.
Yeah. And I think it's important to add in what feels right, like what we talked about, new things that we do, and then remove things that no longer serve you. And not in a shame-based way, just recognize, yeah, that was good for a time, but we're past that now.
Right.
And then we didn't really specifically touch on this, but I think it was important to honor the aspects of the holiday that are still good and positive. So like Christmas, we could have just chucked the whole thing and been like, we're not even touching this. This is commercialized. This is stupid, whatever. We don't believe this anymore. But like, isn't being thoughtful and looking for a gift for somebody that makes sense, that's meaningful, isn't that still good? That's still positive? So yeah, like we would never chuck the whole thing. That would have been pretty drastic. But like
Right.
still honor those things, the things that are good and uplifting.
Right.
And then again, so like make up your own holiday. Just be creative. Or adopt the new one, like Day of the Dead. Just who knows? Make up something that makes sense to you. And maybe that
Right.
becomes a tradition. Every year you have a new holiday that you celebrate, that you make up. That could be a really fun thing to do as a family.
I think there's a lot to the holiday season. It's hard because, it's a time where family comes together normally, traditionally. And it's very supposed to be a very sacred and special time together, right? But that's not always the case for everybody. And so finding ways to make it special sometimes is part of a lot of people's journey, like how can I make this special? And so like finding events like concerts in your area, and there's events at libraries or even churches where they're having concerts, like just there's ways to make it special. And I think that's the part of it is we want to feel connected, we want to feel like we are part of something because everybody seems to be celebrating Christmas around that time. So it's hard not to do something,
Right.
And I think finding what that is for you is still part of being connected to the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. I think we've exhausted our advice / musings. Is that right?
I guess. Sure. We could probably talk about more advice we could give. No, I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, people, we love you so much. We view your support and listens and plays and all of that stuff as a gift. So to celebrate the holiday season, we just want to thank you for the gift that you are to us, and hopefully continue to be a blessing and a gift to you all as well. So keeping with our tradition on the podcast, until next time, peace out, motherfuckers.
Well, friends, that wraps up this heretical episode. Thanks for listening, and be sure to rate and review our podcast and share with anyone who would be encouraged. See you next time.